All right, so here we are. We're doing Fridays with Goodman. We're hearing this on Friday. Today's topic that we want to talk about today that we've been discussing was impatience transformed to I am patient. So we were discussing a lot of things beforehand about a lot of things that we're doing, a lot of things with discipline, a lot of things with misinformation, a lot of things with thermostats and metronomes we were talking about, and we'll probably get into that in our conversations. But this is something of, a lot of us, a lot of things coming at us all the time, a lot of things that we're doing. Are we doing it correctly? Are we, it's a lot of times in this hustle movement, it becomes that you get to a point of almost impatience. Like, is this working out? Am I doing this correctly? I'm doing this every day. Is this, why am I doing this every day? And then the impatience starts lurking in.
The world has taken a step. And the challenge to the step that the world has taken is it has created disorientation. The social cues that we have counted on have been removed. People are not going and leaving home and going to the workplace. The children aren't going to the school. All the anchors by which to feel secure have been uprooted. And there are two ways people become referenced to their reality. You can have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. And in the culture we've been living in, we've had and been trained to have an external locus of control. You're okay if you have the right house. You're okay if you drive the right car. You're okay if whatever the externals are that align with your picture of what you should be, should do, and should have. And suddenly, this year, an invisible force, an invisible army was presented, and we were told, stop. Whatever it is you were doing, stop. And the irony of that was, especially in the beginning, we were treated like children by the authority figure who gave us all a pat on the back and said, you're doing a great job doing nothing. Keep doing nothing. Stay home. Do what we tell you. They even went so far as to say how proud they were of the good job we were all doing at doing what they told us to do. Don't work. Don't leave your house. Don't socially connect. Don't. All of the things that human beings in this culture have spent the last however many years you've been on planet Earth being trained to do so that you could be given the grade of attaboy, good job. This disorientation has created impatience because first they opened it up. No, sorry. First they closed it down. Then they opened it up. Then they closed it down again. Then they opened it up again. All the while telling you, we know what's going on better than you do. Just follow instructions. The level of anxiety and depression that this has created and sleep disorders and disruptions that this has created all tends to build this sense of impatience because we want to know what to do next. We want to plan something, because the level of anxiety, especially when you've never been taught how to auto-regulate, you need to have something to do. So from that external frame of reference, the first opportunity to learn, which we speak about and I teach about in the Goodman Factor, is to resume and return, or for most of us, learn for the first time how to have an internal locus of control. Hence what you were speaking about earlier about the metronome.
Yeah. Well, to elaborate on that, I was listening to, actually his name was Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist, and he gave a good explanation. I think that's what got us into this, to actually bring this topic up today. And he was talking about, I guess in a case scenario, when you're standing in line in the supermarket, you have your mask on, and everyone's just patiently waiting in line, but your pulses start generating. You start building this impatience. You have the mask on and breathing and irritate. The person in back of me is too close, 6 feet away, not 6 feet away. So he says that you get frequencies of pulses in your body in any given situation.
And where's the toilet paper anyway?
Where's the toilet paper?
Don't forget.
He also says, so you receive these pulses quickly, so it starts accelerating, and then you get more. You get more geared toward your internal representation. It's speeding up, right? So then you slow. Then when you see the outside world, you start seeing that it's going slower. Everybody's waiting in line. There's this patience there, but inside your internal clock, your metronome. So it's showing that internal metronome, that ticker that they use for the singing, like to keep you in cue, or the singers, that metronome ticks internally, and it's tick, 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 but the outside is not matching to your external environment. And then the opposite can be, you're in a situation where it's ticking, and and your metronome is ticking slower and slower, but your outside thing, you're getting emails every day, they're calling you, people interrupting you, you're getting like nonstop.
And all it takes to trigger an outburst is somebody not wearing the mask.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
Right.
Just something as simple as somebody not wearing the mask becomes enough to trigger a normally otherwise rational individual to flip out. Right.
But just to finish the thought on the actual internal body, because this will go back to what you were saying. It's a basic, at all times your nervous system is regulating, asking you what's going on in the internal. That metronome is either going fast or either going slow, combining it to the outside environment, and that's how well we're matched, and that TikTok to the environment. So
correct.
That's what we're seeing from that internal level. And I think we came down to showing that, in life, and what's going on now is understanding our thermostat in our life and our metronome, right? If you want to elaborate on that.
Sure. One of the values of meditation, even though it's not practiced nearly as widely as it could be, the value of meditation is to restore the sense of auto-regulation of that metronome. When you meditate, you literally are practicing finding your own internal rhythm.
Right.
One of the ways that shows up is in your speech pattern. So if you notice right now, I am deliberately speaking in a more parasympathetic, slow and deliberate pacing of tone. The matching system of the body will then start to vibrate in harmony with the slower pace of this speech. If I instead start speaking much more rapidly with a great upward inflection, the alarm bells start to go off, your blink rate will start to grow, the internal nodding along with, agreeing with whatever it is I'm saying will take place, and the next thing you know, you'll be in sympathetic otonic rhythm. It's so profound that it will elevate your blood pressure. It's so profound that it will accelerate your pulse rate. It's so profound that it will stress your nervous system. It'll stress your adrenal glands. It'll create the distress that is what is epidemic happening right now on planet Earth, in this country, in each of our homes. Now, you can either be the victim of this, in which case you will, because this is what the studies and the science are showing, you'll attempt to deal with the disquietude with food or chemicals or television, some distraction. In fact, the studies are showing, they're calling it in the literature, the COVID-15 is the 15 pounds of weight that the average American is gaining since they've been dealing with the COVID-19. Because what they're doing is they're self-medicating with food instead of learning to auto-regulate with prayer, meditation, exercise, etc. That then only serves to increase your sense of what? What's our topic for today?
Of your impatience.
Yes, you become impatient because when you get dressed in the morning, if you've been following that lack of program, you get dressed in the morning and suddenly the clothes that you wore yesterday, because you're wearing the same clothes yesterday that you were wearing the day before, and you're wearing the same clothes today that you wore yesterday, because you don't have to go out anywhere, only now they're noticeably tighter.
That is true, and that's a big concern. I want to see it in another way, and during these times, and because a lot of people talk about mindset and keeping your growth mindset, and it's something that I practice a lot, as opposed to, and during these times, what about the people that are actually doing the correct thing? They have their rituals in place, they have their values in place, and it's just, things aren't aligned as business-wise, they're relearning and unlearning and doing their things. So my question is, all the people who are doing the right things, all the right protocols, they didn't get the 15 pounds, they didn't get those things, they're doing everything right, it's just so slow. How do you control that impatience of when's it gonna give?
Trust the process. The game is rigged. You cannot fail. The purpose of having these rituals, and one of the other rituals, is intact affirmations. Affirmations that empower you to deal with whatever is taking place. For example, the one that I give everyone when I first start to work with them. Something great is going to happen to me today. If you start your day before you even get out of bed with the first thought that comes into your brain and the first words that you hear with your own ears is that something great is going to happen to you today, you begin to build the air of positive expectancy. As you build that air of positive expectancy, the law of attraction then kicks in and you start to sort and filter and look for the evidence that's aligned with the affirmation.
Right.
The next affirmation that I add to this is, even when things, and this is critical to what we're talking about, even when things don't appear to be going my way, I'm certain the living God has something even better planned for me.
Right.
As you embrace that, as it becomes encoded in your neurology, you can become at peace. You can become, what's the word? What's the aspiration to become?
Oh, impatience. Yeah.
Yes.
Patience.
If you're not impatient, you can become patient.
Right.
The affirmation becomes, I am patient. And if you know that the game is rigged and you can't fail, and you know that the outcome will have your greatest good in the system, then regardless of what it looks like at the moment, all there is to do is to be patient. And as I so frequently say in working with people, more will be revealed. Because when you know that more will be revealed, you don't need to know what it is right now, because in fact, the monkey brain can only process so much information at any given time and so quickly. So the opportunity is to, and one of my mentors has a little pink sticky he keeps on his computer, and it says, shut up and listen. Because when in doubt, the best thing to do is shut up and listen, and then see what you see. And then you will become more patient.
Shut up and listen, and also asking yourself the right questions, right?
Yes.
What about in a devil's advocate point of way of like the skeptic, the atheist, the I need things structured and analytical, yes, and all this stuff you're saying is, that's great, but in my mind I wasn't raised that way. And what do you do with those kind of clients or this that they want structure and order and their discipline, and this is the way it is, and all that stuff you tell me is mumbo jumbo stuff, but whatever. I get what you're saying, but I need a scientific method answer.
When the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, that's when people change. On any given day, I can't tell you how many times I will say to a client with great love and great compassion, so how's that working out? Because you see, you are the boss of you. You have the opportunity and the right to pick whatever strategy you choose. The challenge is that most of us didn't consciously choose the strategy. What you see, you learn. What you learn, you live. What you live, you become. We do what we saw our mother, father, teacher, preacher do growing up, or, I hate to say it, but in the movies or on television, or in now we'll say on the YouTube video, and that becomes normal. Now, you know that one of the other things I say regularly is normal is just a setting on the washing machine.
For sure.
Because normal, even beyond that cute response, normal is a statistical calculus. It's a calculation. It's a mathematical relationship. And as we're seeing in everyone's faces and lives right now, building your life based on a mathematical model of what coulda, shoulda, woulda, oughta, mighta happened doesn't work, because it's only as good as the model was.
Right.
And the model was built on a frozen moment in space-time, which was then attempted to use to generalize, to bring to the present. And it won't work, because right now, is the only 12:40 p.m. Wednesday, August 26th.
26,
right?
Yeah.
It's the only one you're going to get. It is unique and to itself. And if you attempt to deal with it with yesterday's data, it's the reason why one of my favorite poems, the past is history. The future is a mystery, and the present is a gift. That's why it's called the present. And the only way to be truly empowered in the present is to deal with it as a solitary entity. So that what we're really dealing with are moments of now, followed by moments of now, followed by moments of now, followed by moments of now.
Right.
And when you perceive it that way, you can become the embodiment of the patience that you seek. Because the urge to try to figure it out starts to diminish.
Very true. It's funny when you're saying that thing. It reminds me of a romantic comedies from Netflix. It's somebody that was so structured in their life and busy time in New York, perfect job, perfect this, perfect that, perfect this, and in one instance they have to go in an emergency to a small town that they're from, and all of a sudden they realize, wow, this whole structured part. And after a little while, it's the same structure. They go to a small town, they see how, wow, they open their eyes to a whole different view, that it's not all mathematically structured. And all of a sudden they find themselves in that epiphany. And that's every
It's happening right now.
Right.
The moving companies and the container shipping companies cannot meet the demand because people have discovered that they don't need to spend however much they're spending to live with the trappings of whatever it is they've been living to live their life. And the way they found it out was they were cut off from it. And they discover that they didn't die. The world didn't come to an end. They might actually even discover that the people that are in the house with them, their spouse, their kids, their whoever, they might even become fond of them. And then they create a new opportunity called, I wonder what it would look like if I got to craft my life in a way that I got to spend more time with them, quality time. And so they are getting out of Dodge. In particular, they're getting out of New York. They're getting out of the big cities because it's very, very expensive and therefore very, very stressful to live there. And when you discover that the quality of your life is not really determined by the number of checks that you write or the amount of money that's flowing in and out of your accounts, you might actually then discover the big lesson, which is that less is more. And when you discover that lesson, that less is more, then you become to the next level of free, because you become the chooser. And when you become the chooser, well, you can see it happening if you pay attention. Anybody that watches this or is looking at this will notice the migration that has already started. Now, the other point that I think would be useful to end on is the caveat that you were talking about a few minutes ago. If you make a geographical change, if you don't change your values to become more balanced and whole, and you instead bring all of your shoulds and all of your prejudices and all of your belief systems to the new location, you'll wind up creating the same mess where you move to. So the caveat that is being offered in many of the, and I don't want to have a political conversation, but the caveats that are being offered in the more conservative states is, don't bring your high-level demand values to the new place, because if you do, with the passage of time, you're just going to make the new place look just like the old one.
Right.
You will, as I'm fond of saying, you will should all over yourself. It should look like this. I should be able to do that. It should have this. It shouldn't have that. And before you know it, it'll look the same.
Right.
So the opportunity that's here for people at Your Goodest Life, at Goodman Factor, in your life, the opportunity is to wake up and be the chooser. And if you do that, then you too can go from being impatient to I am patient. All it took was to put an apostrophe in there.
Right.
That's all it takes to change your life, is the decision. You can do this. You can do this. Or as you're so fond of reminding me when I get caught up, you got this.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening, watching, whatever, I invite you to remember, don't be fooled by your habit. You got this. And have an awesome day.
Have an awesome day with no more, hopefully cleared up a lot of that in the impatient. Definitely cleared a lot of mine. And so if you want to learn more about any of our things, it's just goodmanfactor.com, and check out our book, Fridays with Goodman. Thank you for this Friday with Goodman. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you later.
You too.